Okay. Okay, everyone, you ready for Act 2? All right, so up we have Team Moose, and after Team Moose, we have Team Bulls. So Moose, you'll make your way up to the podium, to the dais.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaime Cepeda.
My name is Guillermo Santos.
Hi, my name is Samantha Garcia.
My name is Anderson Cartagena.
And my name is Jessica Manzanares.
And we are representing Team Moose, and we will be talking about young adults on track to medical history.
My mother, who is a medical assistant, worked for Dr. Gopalani, who specializes in internal medicine. On an average day, they get about 15 patients. Each of these patients takes about 20 minutes just to fill out paperwork. Did you know that when calculated, this is 5 hours a day, 25 hours a week, and 1,300 hours a year? So imagine how many patients we can fit into this lost time. This is beneficial because more patients minimizes the overall cost of the services the clinic offers.
So the challenge question given to us is, how can young adults keep track of their medical records?
Now, in order to fully engage the youth, there are several aspects involved. For example, access to personal health record is an expansion of opportunities. To be more specific, college applications are always asking for health records. In order to attend summer programs, such as Subiendo, we need to submit health and liability forms in order to ensure the safety of the students. Next, family records. In order to take preventative measures and know what's going on in your family, we have to have those health records. When I go to the doctor, my doctor's always asking me, do you know what's going on in your family? And I always say no. Having health records can make me know, maybe I should avoid this food. Next, self-motivation. If an individual is able to see the fluctuation of weight management, sugar and blood pressure, they can decide what to do. Maybe they could start doing more exercise and change their dietary needs.
Moving on, the problem has been addressed by text applications such as Google Health, 991 Medical, and My Health Info, which allows individuals to view their records, medical records electronically, but Pew Research Center states that 36% of young adults do not track any of their health indicators. This being said, the reason that this is not affected is that it does not adhere the needs of young adults, particularly the young Hispanic community. According to the Texas Medical Association, 47% of young Hispanic adults do not have any type of insurance. So that being said, we're trying to focus on young Hispanics adults.
Our solution is an organization called Vive Más, where we will focus on education, collaboration, and eventually a mobile device application. We will start by developing a local high school system where students like us will implement the initiative through community service. Carry on with the network system to embed the ideas of neighboring high schools and school districts. And lastly, develop a reliable application that keeps track of personal medical history. We will focus on a Hispanic young adult, as my peer had said, and we'll have early stages of a website development as vivemas.com, where the basic information would be weight, height, and blood type, amongst others. And later on develop into a V2 app, or Vive Más 2.0, with a furthermore extensive and instant access to extensive medical history of the individual.
Now, of course, every successful thing always takes time. For this reason, there will be an implementation of 3, 8, and 15-year plans. First off, in our local high schools, we are going to establish a Vive Más club. There's going to be a hierarchy with president, vice president, etc. This will encourage other students to continue joining the club. Next off, we're going to network to the surrounding high schools in the district. This will increase fundraising, and we could take on different challenges. Next off, for the 8-year plan, we're going to continue by creating a website which will be part of the web development. In order to support this web development, we're going to look at the statistics and data collection. We're going to look at the population of the youth in each high school, see who has access to personal health records and who needs to have personal health access. Next, we're going to start by doing sponsoring and funding. We're going to do this by creating health awareness events, etc., which will attract sponsors and increase our funds.
Speaking of revenue,
Next off, for our 15-year plan, we're going to create a V2 app, which is compatible with the Apple iWatch. In disastrous events, such as car accidents, medical personnel can take a look at it and use it as a form of identification. Our prototype will include a collaboration with Team Frog. Of course, we want people to be aware of their medical knowledge, but we also want them to be safety. So by doing this, we're going to include an advertisement in our app. Next, social media exposure. We want to expand in our state and in our nation. For these reasons, we're going to try to take use of Twitter and social media to continue influencing others outside of our community.
Speaking of revenue, as we first start the organization in our high school, we will use simple foundation of fundraisers such as t-shirt sales, marathons, health fairs, festival booths to raise money. Once our organization starts to grow and it gains popularity with other communities and other high schools, that's when we will contact local donors to raise and fund us money.
Of course, we are aware of the multiple threats that present themselves with having an online database. Because of this, we are going to invest in a strong data security to protect the patient-protected health information from being sold on the black market. To do this, we will abide by the HIPAA laws, which is an act that promotes trust between doctors and patients. We will implement password policies, testing programs, detection programs, third-party policies, and education to our employees.
Another factor that we considered was how stable our fund could be towards our projects, and one was getting grants from organizations. There are several organizations that help out in Texas with like the health industry, and such could be like the Rotary Club or the Moody Foundation. Another can be by getting support by community colleges or universities or like local business and small businesses, and it'll be like a mutual support between one another that we will benefit, because community colleges can benefit by this, because if their students are healthier, then they can function better in school. And small businesses, it can benefit them because they will have a better image towards their company.
You're probably thinking, how can we make our program more accessible to those who are undocumented? At first, our team was decided to create a login just for users so they could put their social security number. However, as my teammate Anderson said, in Texas there are a lot of undocumented students, so that's what we got the idea of FAFSA and TASFA, where we will create two logins, one for social security number and the other one for the tax returns.
In Vive Mas, we focus on change, innovation, and overall health. Former President Kennedy once said, "Change is a law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." Similarly, we ask ourselves, not what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country. The problem of yesterday has been given to us today, and we have risen to provide a solution for our tomorrow. So who's ready to live with Vive Mas?
Questions? Yes. Yes, Carmen?
So you stated that you would have two separate logins to run our system. Do you feel that specifically singles out those and might target certain people who use a second login? Being that it would be an incentive for them being undocumented? Could that pose a potential risk, basically?
What FAFSA and TASFA was striving for is to appear and to kind of target everybody. So we don't want to have any exclusion. So FAFSA uses social security for those that are documented, and TASFA uses it for those that are undocumented. So when we're thinking about it, of course there has to be safety measures. So we cannot only rely on social security. So that's why we were inspired by TAFSA, and we want to use other forms such as tax returns.
So basically, if we just use one or to create one just for social security number, what about those that are undocumented? How are they going to have access to the application? That's why the other login will be with the tax returns.
Yes, I guess.
How do you get people that have access to their health information? Like if I go to doctors all the times, but I don't have my private information, how do you get that information from the doctors to your system?
There's going to be a direct linkage. So we, as the organization, is going to try to come up with ways to meet with the doctors. So the individual who's using it will meet with their doctor and they will talk. So of course, there's going to be a linkage between them.
And adding on to that, there has been applications where they do work in direct correlation to medical institutions in order to access that information. We do feel, though, that we are targeting a single audience. In this case, we filter it down to the Hispanic community. So one of our big concepts in our application was the name itself, as it is Hispanic community receptible in the name Spanish, Vive Más, which means live more. Uh-huh.
New system.
Yes.
How will you secure that inside your application?
What the HIPAA Act constitutes is a pretty much an an act is passed by in 1996, which secures that information. So obviously, medical history records are really detailed information and really personal. And the reason that this act was passed was because health insurance were using this information for their own marketing purposes. So with this app, we do need some type of more specialized and centralized form of singulating out every individual.
And it's not just a social security number. You also you're gonna make your own email, password, and other security questions, not just social security number.
I was talking about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Like how does that work?
Well, we will input specific encryption so that they are not easily hacked.
I mean, you are talking about the further development of our idea, as my peer Samantha was saying, that this 15-year plan, the application by that time will create enough revenue to hire not only servers that are able to provide the vast amount of population we're expecting, but also provide protocol and software organizations that actually can prevent any cyber attacking from happening. And later on, who knows, as technology progresses, we can also insert biometrics into the system, which is basically like retina display, fingerprint security, and stuff like that.
But that's a really good concern, thank you.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry,
So
Megan.
you all said that you want me to create an application, right?
Yes.
How is your application going to stand out from, let's say, Apple's already established medical ID?
Okay, so of course all of us have iPhones and all of us are able to download apps. The difference between us and all those other companies, but the reason for the 3, 8, and 15-year plans is we want to expand. We do not want to be depleting the prior. So at first, locally, we started off with the clubs. Not only can students have the Viva 2 app, but they can also have the club in their own high school, and they can make executive decisions and take part in the community. So give them a part, and they'll still be able to use the app.
And plus, you're talking about a big company that has already been established and not been known and associated first and foremost with this establishment with direct healthcare providers. So we are starting out with that intention, or specializing in the health area. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. One big issue I think another group might be working on is the digital divide, which is access to internet. Would y'all's program be relying on that, or how could it be accessible to those who are not able to have access to internet?
A big consideration was we wanted to first target those both laptop and phone-wise, but one of our team members addressed that not everybody has a phone and a desktop. For this reason, I mean, there's libraries in our cities. You can access this on the desktop, phones, or you could communicate with your doctor to try to gain these resources.
And because we are dealing with majority of the young adult population, we do know that most of us do have access to some type of smartphone or mobile device. So this is how we will instantly deliver the information.
Good job, Team Moose.
Good afternoon, you guys. How are you doing today? Thank you guys for coming out, of course. The program that we created is called We Access, which is a portable internet device for those in need. Now, we'll go over this is basically an overview for our presentation. First, we will discuss the challenge question. We will provide background for the problem. We will propose our solution, provide the advantages and the disadvantages, and of course, give time for you guys to ask your questions. Okay, so the actual question is, how can we break the digital divide that inhibits college access? When we first looked at this question, we thought that it meant we needed to provide a way to access college without using technology. But of course, we're advancing more to using only technology, and we realized that we could make technology more accessible instead and bridge the divide that way.
All right, so let's take a look at the situation in order to come up with the solution. In Texas, there's 1.6 million people that do not have internet access. 15% of students do not have broadband service, and 8% of students don't even own a computer at home. These are great numbers considering we're in the 21st century, we're one of the most developed countries, and despite all of this, there's still a lot of people that don't have access to the technology. Even worse, 94% of college applications are done online. This creates a lot of neglect and not a lot of opportunities for those families and students that don't have this technology. Now let's look at some factors in order to be able to break down the problem and tackle it clearly. First, we need a place to start. We need to find a local school in order to implement our solution. And we want to look at the demographic and the population to figure out where the best place to start and the people that need it. Not only that, but we need to look at the number of students in order to figure out the devices we're going to use and what the number of them. Apart from that, we need to figure out the funding, because without funding, this idea won't be possible.
With 95% of U.S. schools and 63% of schools worldwide transitioning to a more technology-based education system, it's increasingly important for students of all kinds to have access to technology in order to not only apply for college, but get to the point where they're ready for college. And again, with 94% of all college applications being online, it's important that they have access to technology.
So the implications of the problem are when schools start assigning online homework, those who don't have access to internet and come from low-income families, their grades drop, and they ultimately do not attend college because of this. Like, we were recently reading an article from the New York Times where students from McAllen, Texas, had to stand outside a bus stop by their school in order to connect to the school's internet to do their homework, and they would stay there for around 6 hours or so every day.
Not only is this a reoccurring problem all around the nation, these typical problems, like the story she just mentioned, happening all around the country and especially in Texas. After hearing these issues, that gives a great number of low-income students disadvantage and inaccessibility to the internet, mainly going to college applications, doing homework, and even classroom work. We hope to implement a program in our schools and libraries which will lend students in need with portable hotspot devices, laptops, and college information booklets so they could use this technology effectively and wisely. So this system will work similarly to checking out a library book. It will be mostly based on filling out a form or application and using student ID identification so they could go into their schools or their local library so they could check out these devices in need. So in terms of high schools, they will only be given to students who are actually in need, and this system of internet will be very restricted and limited, so it can only be used for schoolwork and business work as well. This internet will be limited to 500 megabytes per day, and it will have a strict web browser and firewall, so this can be used productively. Important factors that we have to look at when we're implementing this solution is that we decided to go into a small school district with a high concentration of low-income students. This will give a great opportunity for us to start up and kind of gain analytical data on how implementing this technology can actually increase college applications. Using existing technology that already exists through the company Kaji offers mobile routers, $200 per device, and provides $10 to $30 of service monthly. If we were to do, and as a beginning, 100 devices for 1 year of service, it will total $56,000. In terms of laptops, there are already many schools in Texas who are providing laptops, and even if they weren't to provide laptops, we also have another group, Team Otters, who's actually working on a project to refurbish used laptops through donations, and this will actually also help us if we need a backup. If we were to look into the booklets, we would go into College Board and many of these already established information databases to get access.
So the advantages of providing technology to students of all incomes would be that students now have access to technology in order to do their homework. They can now access college websites to do research on both colleges and scholarships, and they could actually apply to the colleges in the first place. Other solutions that we looked at previously and could be implemented in the future are devoted school labs that give access to time for students to go in and do the work, and a multi-system college app that puts all the information in one convenient place for them to have access to.
Of course, there are disadvantages. The devices could be lost, damaged, or stolen, but of course we would provide liability forms for the students so that we can ensure that the devices are being cared for properly. The cost is also, it seems very high, but with this investment, we are investing into the futures of the generations of the future. So these students will they will be more likely to go to college, which will then create jobs and then better the economy. There's also the infrastructure. So internet service is not always accessible everywhere. So in the future, we would try to partner with bigger companies that have more access to the rural areas.
Funding for this would come through local fundraising, school and community events, and then which will lead on to partnering with several companies with the dedication to bettering education opportunities, for example, Apple and Google and sort of, etc.
Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yes.
So in this slide, you mentioned how you were getting your funding, correct? But what is it exactly about your project that would prompt these rather large companies to help you out?
Well, many companies such as Google and Apple already have an investment in creating education opportunities for high school students. So since they already have an investment in doing things such as this, it's likely that they would provide funding for a project such as our own.
Not only will this investment actually, these companies are looking for people who will be, employees, business associates, people who are willing to create and build a better future. And if we provide equal opportunity for success and ability to access internet, get information and actually do work, then they will become, there's a higher chance for them to become professionals in the future, actually serving the economy, start being entrepreneurs, and, donating back to the community and to these companies.
Tabitha, do you have a question?
My question was just, who is paying for the laptops and everything? Are y'all funding for it, or are the school districts providing that?
That depends on the school district. If there are several school districts that already provide laptops to incoming freshmen that they can use throughout the 4 years, and then they either can buy it at their senior year. In case there's not, we're trying to partner with Google and Lenovo, which do lend their laptops to schools so that the students have access to them and do their work.
And of course, we would kind of target those schools that do provide laptops for students so that we could provide the internet access.
Who hasn't asked a question yet? You have to ask a question, yes. Yeah.
Okay. During your presentation, you said that these, like your idea, basically, you're only going to give it to people in need. So, what's your definition of in need? Like, what standard are you going to hold the students to?
People who essentially cannot afford technology, who do not have access to it, because higher income students already have, for the most part, they already have the money to get technology. And that puts them at a significant advantage over people who do not have it. So of course there would have to be a certain threshold, but basically anyone who does not have money left over for technology.
And to add on to that, the purpose is to, break through that digital divide. So we're trying to access those that already don't have the technology and, provide it to them so that they can be in an equal play field, as you could say.
Okay, we'll go Faith and then up here. Faith? Oh, sorry, Madeline.
Plans to get the school districts to implement your solution?
Well, we've talked to one of the persons that work at a school district in one of the dinners, and then he was talking about the implementation on how it would work in his district. He said that it was a good idea, and that one concern that would arise is the security. Because, like, what if, like, they're using the technology to do malicious things or to going into websites that they shouldn't? And what we want to do is provide, like, an extent of the school's network. Like, you guys know, as when you log into a school computer, you cannot visit any site. There's ad blocks, there's several things that limit you. And we want to, like, provide an extension of that in order to make sure that it's secure and it's fulfilling its purpose, not just going to waste on students that don't want to use it for what it's meant for.
And to add on to that, many school districts, of course, they have an investment in their students' success. And if technology could provide their students with more success and more opportunities, I'm sure that any school district would have interest in providing that to their students.
To add on to that, just one last little note. There's actually already school districts, and they're already providing such routers and capabilities, and most school districts actually have the laptops in need. So Kaji is actually a company known for doing these type of things, and if we could, kind of create this program where we can, promote this and actually partner up with schools with the laptops and even the college booklet bundle, which we see is important for providing information to the students to actually go online and use these laptops effectively.
Madeline, did you still have a question?
Yeah, of course. So I really like the way that your solution addresses the problem of access. Is there also some aspect of a change in curriculum or any kind of learning program attached to enable people to learn to use these devices as well?
That was something we considered previously, where they would have school labs with devoted time to people so that they could be taught how to use the devices. But of course, that would be something implemented in the future after we saw that it was actually successful.
And the reason that we decide to do this in the future is because this is going to involve, like, this needs involvement with the school districts, and, like, we need to, like, create that relation and that trust of, they're like, okay, we can give you some of our time and for the students to use them.
Health Profession Initiative. Good afternoon. Our team is Team Kangaroo. We will be presenting our Health Profession Initiative today.
In today's agenda, we will present to you our challenge question, background for the problem, purpose. We will propose a solution, and we have a Q&A afterwards.
Okay, so how can we encourage high school students to pursue a career in the medical field? We will specifically be targeting high school sophomores and juniors in Texas, and a district we've chosen. We will mention that later on.
So supporting data for our issue. So the healthcare industry is growing at a rate of 22%. And that means by 2018, there will be 3.2 million new jobs in the healthcare industry. So at the current moment, there are more people retiring out of the healthcare industry than there are college students entering the healthcare industry. So in about 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to be at an all-time low in jobs in the healthcare industry. And those are jobs that we need for the safety and health of our people in Texas.
Okay, now let's go over some simple data. Now, this is only some of the researches that we found. This is only one of the graphs that we found of about 10 different graphs that we found. So right here, we could see a simple spectrum, a broad spectrum of the actual industries that we need within our health spectrum. So these are some of the fields that we're actually going to focus on within our proposed solution. Now, going off to our next graph, we could actually see these are some of the jobs that we're going to actually try to tackle within our program. We could see there's a bunch, the bigger the bubble, that means the more jobs are going to be projected within the years. These statistics right here are projected from 2012 all the way to 2022. Now we could see that's a large time from right now, we're 2017 all the way to 2022. So it's a large statistic to look at.
Okay, so when researching, we came upon reasons why high schoolers aren't considering the medical field. Factors like time. It takes like an average of 10 to 12 years in the max to actually get certified and actually working. They also don't want to risk high tuition and high depth. They don't want to risk unstable work schedules and not even going into the residency program that you actually desired.
Implications of the problem. Texas is growing at a fast and consistent rate due to the amount of birth and immigrants coming in each year. Increase in hospitals, yet not enough health professionals to fill them. Due to the increase in hospitals, there would be an unsustainable number of health professionals if the hospitals are not filled.
So now, within finding our proposed solution, we had some struggles. We had different ideas from actually creating an app, websites, adding a class course within the curriculum in public schools, but then we came into idea of thinking about a summer program. Now, this summer program is going to have 3 major components to the solution. So first is the outreach. How are we going to actually get people involved and wanting to join the program? So we're actually going to do social media, emails, websites that later on Francisco is actually going to go over, and then we're going to look at local district programs. We actually were going around how many districts within Texas to start with, and we actually found out that Dallas YISD actually has more than 20 schools to work with. So if we focus on this at our pilot program, it's going to be a good amount of number to see if this program is actually going to run in a good pace and if it's actually going to happen. And then we finally have sponsors and volunteers. As we all know, sponsors and volunteers are essential in any program or organization that we want to try or actually start. So we're actually going to reach out to people through the same outreaches that we're going to do with the students and parents.
With our proposed solution, there are many disadvantages and advantages for this kind of program. Some of the disadvantages include finding sponsors, mentors, volunteers, choosing which district we're going to target first, and if we're going to have a stable source of food for this nonprofit organization. But with time, these can become advantages. Some of these advantages include exposing students to resources that they might not have access to throughout the regular school year. We're going to inform them about researching into job opportunities that are opening up in the medical field almost every year. We want to influence them to pursue careers in the medical field since there's so many career opportunities being neglected. And just the locality of just going to your own district and making it convenient for kids to just show up and learn about the medical profession.
So I'll be going over the overview of our proposed solution, which is the HPI program. So the HPI program, for sponsors and donors, we'll be asking the American Public Health Association and the American Nurses Association to help us out with just whatever volunteers and sponsors and maybe even donate to help us get the program started. So the HPI, our mission is to begin with Texas, and then we want to expand nationally, maybe even go globally. So we're going to be self-evaluating our program. We're going to follow our kids who participated in the program and see when they went to college, what sort of degrees did they major in. And if some kids majored in a medical profession degree, then we know that our program is working. And those kids that end up going through college can come back as alumni and give out speeches to help with workshops, to help better these kids that are still going through this program. So our process is to mainly focus on health pathway students, and it's going to be a first come, first serve program. So we know that the ones that are applying to the program, because it's going to cut off at 70, so the ones that are applying first are the ones that are really interested in learning more about the medical industry. And of course, this might seem at a disadvantage, first come, first serve, cut off at 70, but of course, this is just in the few short years that we're going to be starting this program. Because as we grow, we'll be spreading out throughout many districts, and we'll be raising that number to a higher number. We'll also be having forms to liability waivers, medical waivers in case anything happens at the program, so that nothing is held so that the parents give permission to their children. And then our outreach, we're going to be contacting with counselors, parents, and students. So the counselors will spread word throughout the high school, wanting their students to go well, to go to college. Parents are going to want their kids to go because it's going to be summer. They're not going to want their kids at the house not doing anything. So they're going to say, look, mijo, this is a free program. You can go ahead and do it. It's 4 days, and you're going to have a great time. You should just do it. And the parents won't have any problem with it because it's going to be educating their children, and it's completely free. And then we'll be working out our outreach through social media, expanding our website where we'll have more information over the program. And kids are going to be excited to this because they're going to learn more about the healthcare industry. And this will change their lives. Not possibly change their lives, it will change their lives.
To add on to what Francisco just said, Dr. Jeff Patterson actually said during one of our workshops this week that this is not a sprint, it is a marathon. So we could see with time, the HIP program is going to cause to be a great impact within not only society in Texas, but nationwide and throughout all of the United States. HPI is my future, your future, and all of our future. So we could see that this is essential. It's not an option, it's a must. This is what we need in order to succeed within the health industry. The health industry is needed. Without the health industry, half of us are going to not be healthy. We're not going to have an excellent future that we want. The future that we want is going to be possible with HPI. HPI is going to cause leaders in the health industry, doctors, office people, everything that we need within the health industry. HPI is that light for the tunnel. That's going to be what we need. HPI is the answer to all the problems that we have right now in our health industry, and this is what we need in order to succeed. So remember that this is not a sprint, but yet it's a marathon, and that's what HPI stands for.
Thank you. We will now be taking questions.
You guys laid out some of the reasons, I think, in the first or second slide about why somebody may choose not to go on to the medical profession, including the debt and the amount of time it takes. How does this solution address those concerns?
So our program will be outreaching to those students, and we'll explain to them how once you go through medical school, you are guaranteed a position. Because a lot of kids don't realize that the medical healthcare industry is actually expanding. So the risk isn't really a risk, because once you graduate, you will have a job, and a high-paying job. So you'll be able to pay back that student debt or student loans.
To add on to what Francisco just said, it's actually to show these students to say, hey, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be one journey, but at the end, I know it's going to be worth it. And that's what this program is showing us. Not to just say there's only doctors within the health industry, because that's what teenagers automatically think. We're going to have to be surgeons, doctors. That's not what the health industry is. It's not only that. There's a lot more that goes into it. Our program is actually going to be focused within nursery, nursing, aides, ambulance, office practitioners, and actual dentistry. So there's different focuses within the health industry. So we're going to show them that it's going to be a journey, but it's going to be worth it at the end.
My question is, during this, it's a summer program?
Yes.
Is it 1 week long and then you focus on a certain category of medical professional, or is it workshop?
Well, we were thinking of just making it just like short and sweet, and to give them a broad overview of just the kinds of jobs that we need in the medical profession. So we were thinking just a week-long program within like about 4 hours with a lunch break. We were thinking, we're doing lectures. We would like a lecture from a mentor or someone to speak out and talk about the medical profession. Go to lunch, which would be funded by summer feeding programs funded by the USDA, and lead to like some kind of workshop dealing with that specialty in the medical profession.
So if this is this program economically feasible, and if so, where will you find that money?
This is already being built on already an established thing. Like it's going like in public schools, and it's pretty much, like we said, accessible.
So finding sponsors won't be very difficult, because ISDs will welcomely open up their high schools for us, because we're going to be bettering their students, and they're going to want their students to succeed. They're going to say, hey, this is a free program. We just have to provide lunch and a space and maybe some volunteers. We have no problem with this, because it's going to make our students intelligent. It's going to open up their area for the medical industry. And then the sponsors and donors, doctors are obviously going to want to, hey, I mean, the healthcare industry is declining, not just doctors, but everybody in the healthcare industry. You know, there's more jobs opening up. We're going to need these people to fill up spaces. Why don't I go over there and help out with this program so I can be inspirational to those students? So sponsors isn't really a big issue, because we're able to find those people. There are always people willing to help out.
Okay, we'll go back here and then back up here.
Accepting 70 students who already showed interest in coming into and going into the medical field. My question to you is, like, how would you appeal to those students who haven't shown an interest in going into this field to further increase the numbers of the jobs that we need in the medical field, due to the fact that these kids that you're targeting seems like they already have an interest in the first place?
So going back is not only to those, so our primary are for health pathway students, but remember, we're also outreaching to parents. So any parent here, I mean, if they found out about this program and it's free, are they not going to ask you to join? Your parents are going to maybe even force you, or maybe you might even enjoy doing it, because a lot of parents tell their kids, apply to this program. Oh, but it's like a long essay or requirement or something, but you still end up doing it because your parents are asking you to do it. and it doesn't cost the students anything. So they go out maybe to try it, and we're going to be targeting with parents for kids that do not want to, and counselors as well.
Okay, to add on to what Francisco said, so yes, it might seem like 70 is a really small number, but that's keep in mind that this is just our pilot program. So it's going to increase as the time goes by. Right now, we're only going to focus on Dallas ISD. That's why it's such a low number. Then it's going to increase to Texas, and after Texas, it's going to hit all of the United States. So we're going to eventually keep the word going. We're going to make websites. It's going to grow as it steps. How I said, it's not simply a sprint, it's a marathon. It's going to take time. We're not going to get there in a blink of an eye.
We have time for one last question. Eric?
I was just wondering, what will students be learning specifically content-wise that constitutes all the answers in just a few days?
Okay, so what this program simply is doing is showing the kids that there's much more within the health industry instead of doctors and just surgeons. So what we're trying to do within the 4 days, each day is going to focus on each of the certain fields that we're going to focus on that I mentioned earlier. That's going to be AIDS, nursing, dentistry, and actual office, people within the office. So every day is going to have a different speaker, a keynote speaker, hands-on experiences if the doctors actually let us shadow. Whatever it must be, we need the sponsors to actually go ahead. So it's going to be really sponsored and volunteer-oriented at the beginning, and then over time we get connections, networking. That's the actual deal with any organization. That's what we're going to need to actually be successful. In order to be something, you're going to have to know people, and that's what this program is going to do. The more people we know, the more it's going to expand. It's going to start with 4 days. Next thing you know, it's going to be a 2-week program because there's so much information and so much to do within the health industry that we want to teach all of our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Manuel Rodriguez.
I'm Juan Llano.
I'm Alita Aguiluz.
I'm Karina Rosas.
And I'm Yesenia Garcia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we put forth an issue that involves bettering the education system. The challenge we inherited was to significantly minimize the technical skills gap in underrepresented populations by developing these skills in middle schools and in high schools and ensuring that they transcend into college and indeed the workplace. This is an important issue because companies that we've talked to in the panel, such as Google, are in need of individuals who have knowledge in programs such as Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, and obviously computer languaging. Our mission is to create a generation that is all about and that is informed about technology, and that indeed we let our students know that we are the people who created the 21st century, and now it is our turn to lead the 21st century.
Going off what Manny said on the importance of this issue, here are some stats that emphasize the importance of the problem at hand. According to UTLA, those who own a laptop have a decently higher GPA than those who do not, and have higher reading and math scores on STAR test. Furthermore, if we do not tackle the issue at hand, our students may lack the collaborative problem solving and writing skills that will be essential for the future. And it will also make them have lesser commitment to finishing their homework. In a larger scale, if we don't give our students these technical skills, they might be in a disadvantage in the STEM field due to their largely emerging job market.
So to prevent what Juan just mentioned, we are proposing a nonprofit program which we have named Computer Pal. Through Computer Pal, we will be able to close the technical divide, and we will be able to distribute and teach technical skills to kids starting in middle school and then all through high school. We are a nonprofit program that takes in donations, laptop donations, tablet donations from the community, and we refurbish them and redistribute them to those schools and those students that are in need. Through this program, we focus on ensuring that kids starting early as 6th grade work through modules on a program all the way throughout high school that ensures them leaving high school with skills necessary to make it through college and make it in their eventual careers. As you can see, our website offers information about who we are, what we stand for, what we do, and how exactly we do what we do. Even better, our website offers a forum or application where people can submit their name, their information, a picture of their computer, the condition, and the quality of their computer so we can make the best selection to which computers to donate. Through this program, we hope to ensure every student has the technical skills necessary to make it through higher education and make it in their career.
In order to put Alita's solutions into action, we'd implement these programs within the school systems. We'd work with middle school and high schools in order to implement these programs so that the students would be able to go into college, into the workplace with these skills. We'd require the schools to have an 85% passing rate, and we'd work with them. If they meet that requirement, we would be able to help them in the future and keep on giving them the resources. We understand that because these are low-funded schools, they might not have the internet that they would need to complete this. So because of this, we are going to cooperate with Team Bulls, which their main goal would be to provide this internet access for free to students. And as students advance to higher levels, we'd make the programs more rigorous so that they can establish more critical thinking skills that are required with technology, and so that they go more in depth within these skills that we are teaching them. And because technology changes through time, we will update our programs constantly so that students would not fall behind with the technology today.
Okay, so before we get into the actual updates of the technology, we can see how we plan on getting these programs created. When what we want to do is invite college students who are studying the relevant majors to this cause, invite them to participate in a case competition where they will be able to create these programs. And of course, the winner would be awarded a cash prize, and their program would be the one that would be used in the schools. And with that, the software would actually include open source software so that more people can collaborate with it and be able to keep it up to date. Like Karina said, the technology is always changing, so we want to be able to keep it up and give the students the best quality technical skill education that they need. And as far as funding for our projects, we hope to get support from private donations from people in our community, but as well as corporations that have taken an interest in closing that technological divide, such as Google. And the public will be able to see what we are about in our website that we have here. They'll know how to make donations, and they'll know what our mission is, which our ultimate goal is that all children within our community, within our state, and ultimately within our nation will get the tools they need to get ahead and stay ahead. Thank you.
Okay, one of your bigger points was that your software was open source, correct?
Yes.
So, how would you prevent a security breach? What's keeping some mischievous soul out there from messing with your software and turning it into something else? Because that's like Linux. With Linux, you just mold it however you want.
Well, of course, we'd try to work with a team that has an expertise in that, and I'm sure that we could try to come up with something that would help us combat that problem.
Gemma?
Okay, sorry for that. Your program is very interesting. However, it sounds extremely familiar to Project Lead the Way. My middle school and high school were both in those socioeconomic areas, and Project Lead the Way provides similar services that you will want to provide, including focusing on STEM fields such as computer science, environmental sustainability, aerospace, things like that. So how is your program different from PLCW? And if not, is there anything you could possibly partner with them?
I'd actually like to answer that question. What this program is about to give a voice to those unrepresented areas across Texas, maybe even across the United States, and maybe even eventually around the world, right? So one thing is that the little that we think about it is that there's many students across the state that they don't have access to a computer, that they don't have access to technology, and how many of those students will have gotten to the opportunity to come to a program just like this one. And here are some statistics that I would like to share. According to the Texas Education Agency, there is 1.5 million high school students in Texas, and 363,000 of those students are juniors that were applicable or that were able to apply to a program just like this one. Yet only 550 students did apply, and 0.15%, and that means that only 0.15% of students all across the state applied to a program like this. So we want to make sure that we can provide the technology that is needed to every single student across the state and give them an opportunity to contribute to the nation's economy, to make innovations in healthcare, and to come up with new ways on how to improve our environment and things like that. So the program that you mentioned, I think that, yes, it does provide maybe, as you said, resources to these students. But what we want to do is that we want to specifically target students who, are maybe come from undocumented families that can't afford or fall below the poverty level.
Did you have a question, Tapta?
So I may have missed it, but I was just curious on how you determine who you give the laptops to. I know that you get the donations, but what determining factors are there in delivering the laptops to others, to certain students?
So ultimately, after we get these donations and after we get the computers refurbished, we would distribute them to the schools, and then the schools would try to see, as they see fit, distribute these computers onto the classrooms. We'd obviously keep track of how they're distributing the computers to see if they're following within what we want to accomplish, but that kind of falls into the schools.
But to add to that, we would be targeting the underrepresented population, so the people who don't necessarily have as many resources as other areas have.
That's another question. Okay, we'll go Sarah, and if we have time.
So you said that you would get donations and you would refurbish them. How would you do that? Refurbish the bikes?
To refurbish them, we would go. We would offer college students, community service hours that are in the prospective areas like computer science, and they would actually refurbish the computer for us. And then after we get funding and we get all of that, we would expand to make it, so some professionals come and refurbish the computer for us.
And to address that question about providing the computers, we have, talked to many individuals, including Leticia, where she has stated that, that her husband works and has connections to Dell, right? And so that would be also something. So that would be something where we could start. That would be something where we would have already great connections to a big company. She also mentioned that, and I'm pretty sure that there's many more people across the state and indeed the nation with similar situations as her, where they have computers that maybe they don't use anymore. And out of the kindness of their heart, I'm pretty sure, and I can say with courage and with confidence, that there would be no problem with them donating those computers to us.
Hi, my name is Carlos, and I'm from El Paso, Texas.
Hi, my name is Monica Romero, and I'm also from El Paso, Texas.
Hello, my name is David, and I'm from Brownsville, Texas.
Hello, my name is Tanisha, and I'm from Houston, Texas.
Hello, my name is Gojak, and I'm from Austin, Texas.
So in the year 2005, the Huffington Post did release an article stating that one of the biggest issues globally was to reduce that of the amount of carbon footprint throughout the globe. However, they mentioned that the only way to do this is to increase the amount of alternative energy produced by the entire globe. 10 years later, they released a similar article saying that there has been no improvement made throughout the years. However, they mentioned that the key reason to this is because the governments around the globe have decided to actually do this at a nationwide level, and they mentioned that it's to start at a local level rather than nationwide.
As a result of these facts, we will begin an Environmental Leaders of America and could also be referred to as ELA. We will start locally in the city of El Paso and eventually increase in size throughout the state of Texas. Students will be enforcing recycling and such practices, as well as completing the installment of 1, light sensors, 2, LED light changes, and finally 3, installment of power-saving hand dryers in the restrooms throughout their schools. By applying these, we will fix the negative implications as mentioned by the Huffington Post.
Now you're probably wondering the cost and the actual benefits of the occupancy sensors and all these other things that we're going to implement. The occupancy sensors, we'd be using Leviton IPSO2, and the kilowatts per hour used by a school without occupancy sensors is around 54,000, but one with the occupancy sensors would be around 7,000. In a high school with 146 rooms, there would be a total of 162 sensors because some rooms require more sensors than others. The total cost to run a school for just the lights without occupancy sensors is around $7,000, and the total cost per month running with occupancy sensors is $6,000 per month, with the exception of the first month. This is our break-even analysis, and we determined that we would break even in 4 months. So if this is implemented in January, by April we would break even, and we would save around $7,892.30. And if we implement LED lights the following year or years afterwards, we would save around $9,470.76. The hand dryers, currently we're using paper towels, and the cost per month for paper towels is around $787, while the cost per month to run a hand dryer is around $9. The cost per year to use paper towels is around $41,000, while the cost per year to use hand dryers is around $6,000. The cost per use for a paper towel is around 45 cents, while the cost per use for hand dryers is around 2 cents. In our break-even analysis, we determined that in 3 months, we would be able to break even. And so if this is implemented in January, by March, we would be making more money than we're spending. And we would save around $34,692.06.
So you're wondering, how would we be able to fund this program? ELA will work on crowdfunding for all the ELA clubs that are involved. Also, there are successful traditional methods for funding at school, such as selling chocolate, candy, selling water, and etc., used to fund projects to improve alternative energy in their school.
So although all these ideas may seem broad, there are some disadvantages. North Carolina Public School transitioned to 100% alternative energy, showing this idea is possible and feasible, providing more funding for school programs. Installing solar energy at schools go way beyond than just saving money, allowing schools to incorporate it into the STEM programs in the school. So reliability of supply can be questioning through these ideas that we are stating to you and bring up flaws like inconsistency and efficiency, but the upsides dwarf the downsides, such as.
And it does not stop here, it also gets better. ELA will implement a summer program where students get a chance to get certified, to earn a certification to become an electrician, and also they have a chance to learn how to build solar panels. We'll partner up with El Paso Electric Company and the Segan Energy Efficient team, which is also another team that is in with the Subiendo, and also, yeah.
Okay. So basically, this summer program is kind of like the icing on the cake. This is why we want to implement this program throughout schools in Texas, specifically starting from West Texas, moving onward to East Texas. One of the main reasons is the impact it has on society. So this is dedicated to improve alternative energy usage across the schools, because we are teaching students by becoming certified electricians that the amount of energy wasted in the state of Texas is in excess, as we've proven it through other means. But most importantly, we're dedicated to helping the community. And by helping the community, the things that are happening is that this is not limited only to high school kids. Because we do have to charge a small fee, anybody in the community could go ahead and become a certified electrician. The small fee is of $150 in comparison to if you go to a trade school where the fee is from anywhere from $1,000 to $11,000. But more importantly, this helps the Texas education system. The reason the Texas education system becomes so beneficial or benefits so much from this is because at the end of the day, when we raise awareness, the Texas education system becomes better. And what I mean by that is that through the implementation of House Bill 5 for the graduating class of 2018, where we have to graduate with one specific pathway in mind. More importantly, this relies to the STEM pathway because the STEM students can directly correlate or directly become members of this program and do this summer program. And when we have this summer program, we are reducing carbon footprint. They are becoming certified electricians, but most importantly, they learn how to make their own solar panels. And these solar panels that they learn how to make every single summer can be implemented to that same high school in which this program takes place. So, for example, if a high school has 100 members, it would take about 10 members to make one solar panel. So, therefore, that summer, the school is gonna have 10 solar panels that they could place on their school, if that makes sense. So, in the long run, they're gonna reduce. This can make Texas reduce the amount of carbon footprint. But more importantly, it's going to push for political reforms. Because when we push for political reforms, it takes notice and it takes one small community to make an impact on a larger scale. And that's exactly what we want to do here. And before the time ends, basically, I just want to say that the Solar Foundation is actually saying that 1.2% of jobs are going to come directly from the solar industry. But more importantly, there is a contribution to $5 billion within the economy coming directly from solar panels. So if we can raise awareness with solar panels, and if we can create a more efficient society and reduce the amount of carbon footprint, and finally answer our question, which is to improve alternative energy uses, the only way we can do it is through the environmental leaders of America and by implementing these summer programs with the coalition of our sponsors from the El Paso Electric Company and another Subiendo group, SIGEN, also known as Blue Jays. Thank you.
Questions? Yes, come in.
As for your, so you're guaranteeing electrician certification, right?
Yes.
So, and a small fee of $150. How do you plan out this curriculum? Do you have teachers set in place? Do you have classrooms available for this kind of thing?
Okay, yeah. So what I mentioned was they're going to be working at one specific high school. So if this was in my high school back in El Paso, Texas, it would be at America's High School. America's High School would provide the
facility.
Yeah, the facility, and we would provide professors there at America's High School that are certified to make the students become certified electricians. So with that being said, the small fee is because we are a non-profit organization and because we do have partners that are working with this same technology that can help us fund to make the solar panels is why this is efficient. And I don't know if that answered your question.
We'll go Michael and we'll go David.
How technically and financially feasible is your plan?
Well, this is extremely financially feasible because we're going to implement the hand dryers and the occupancy sensors, and they're going to save the school money. They're going to save the organization money in the long run. So our ultimate goal is to run part of the school on the
alternative energy.
Yeah, on alternative energy. So when the students are building it, we're going to have money to be able to build the stuff and to be able to implement it into the school. And we're also going to fundraise. Besides just saving the money, we'll fundraise to get to install these the hand dryers and the occupancy sensors. And then from there, we'll keep on fundraising. And then with the money saved from all these implementations, we'll be able to pay for that.
Also adding with what David has says, that's why they're going to be working on the first year of the program in school, the ELA School Club. They'll work closely with their school sponsor and they'll find different ways for them to fundraise and raise enough money for them to implement the project that they're interested in to do for their school.
Technically, like...
Okay. Dan, did you have a question? You're good? Sabdiel?
So, you said this is something you want to implement within schools, correct? how would you convince the school district to accept your policy? Because in the short run, it may seem like too large of an investment.
It's not an investment because the students are fundraising and because of the way the policies are made. Every single student can start their own organization, and that's why we, in the recent years, we've had the foundation. I mean, what is it called? The group for Catholics, the group for like Christians, different religious organizations, sexual orientation groups. It doesn't matter the group; they could start their own group. So basically, we want to start the Environmental Leaders of America because we want to, and because it's beneficial for the society. So with those policies in place, we are allowed to, and because we are doing our own funding, we don't need to go to the, in this case, the Core Independent School District to ask them for funding. We're fundraising it ourselves.
And adding to that, like, it's not all gonna happen at once. Like, everything is gonna progress over time. Like, all the light sensors and the LED lights that like need to be like changed in order to save energy, they're not all going to like happen at once to save the school money. It's gonna take time.
Good afternoon, my name is Jessica Uregas.
I'm Carmen Escandon.
I'm Luis Flores. I'm Daniel Chambliss.
I'm Colette Zamora.
I'm Jeremiah Guy Williams.
And we are Cambio, the organization set to develop healthier lifestyles and activity and eating habits in Texas.
This is Joe. Joe is one of the thousands in the Hidalgo County that are part of the free school lunch program, as his parents, like many others, can't always provide meals every day. So the lunches Joe consumes at school are often the only nutrition he receives at all, placing its nutritional value at an all-time high. The problem? The lunch provided often offer little to no nutritional value, making Joe greatly obese at a young age, a leading problem that thousands suffer from in the state, as Texas lies among one of the top rankings for child and adult obesity.
So what is our goal? Starting in specific Texan counties, we will expand the Cambio program across the state to be offered as a state-sponsored school nutritional program. And our mission is to develop healthier lifestyles and activity and eating habits for the betterment of the Texan community.
And let's talk schools. Children affected by obesity consume between 1/3 to 1/2 of their calories in school. As a result, school lunches are a huge factor in the outcome of childhood obesity. If the school lunch program is reformed to better serve the students' nutritional needs, the likelihood of childhood obesity will reduce, even into adulthood. Based on surveys from real students in more than 9 cities across Texas, almost 93% of students wanted more variety, including more fruits and vegetables. Almost 74% of students buy from vending machines, and a staggering 78% of students do not feel like their school lunches are nutritious. Based on a document from the CDC, competitive foods, or those foods served in vending machines, are rising due to the lack in school lunches. These foods do not have to meet the standards set by the federal government, and research shows that we can reduce the amount of competitive foods purchased. We can increase the entry into fruits and vegetables.
Our first step into launching this program would be to target specific counties in Texas that are high in agricultural value and remain close to the poverty line. The counties we chose were Hidalgo County, Maverick County, and Cameron County. The great thing about this is it will create great job opportunities through partnerships with local farmers.
In order to publicize our program, we have launched a demo app in order to connect communities with maintaining healthy and active habits. Our app is ideal for all ages, but we are mainly targeting 13 to 17-year-olds. We have implemented aspects such as a daily planner, a map, personal workouts, as well as achievements, and a food log. Following general use of the app, from left to right, we have the planner first, allowing for users to date and title events. Next, we have the map, which allows for planning routes if you walk, run, or jog, and the map works globally anywhere you are. The third tab includes workouts and workout routines for the users, which can be seen with our detailed example of a reverse lunge. Moving forward, we have a tab dedicated towards achieving personalized goals and milestones. Along with maintaining healthy habits, there is a food log which allows for the users to list the foods and drinks that they are consuming, while also providing the nutritional values for those items. In works with the Cambio program, we have future plans to allow for parents to monitor children's activity on the app, and there will also be a development for push notifications and other ideas to keep new and existing users active on the app and in real life.
Of course, we would need to fund our Cambio program. Initially, in the 3 counties, we would fund our program through sponsors and donors. These would include Relay for Life, Get Fit, and Presidential Fitness Award. Private sponsors would include JP Morgan, Google, Walmart, and others. These sponsors have a long-standing record of helping funding programs that pertain to the betterment of public health. Such organizations like YMCA, Texercise, Blue Shield of Texas, along with other entities, would be incorporated through partnerships. These would be mainly focused on the activity and exercise continuance of Cambio. Additionally, there are safety net hospitals and hospital chains that would be incredibly willing to provide for funding. However, as Cambio grows closer to a statewide program, we would like to get a source of funding from an overall sales tax extension. We would like to implement a 0.08 increase that would equate to $42 million, which would be more than enough for what Cambio plans to do. This percentage increase is marginal enough where Texans would not reject it if it would greatly benefit the public health. In conjunction to this, as the social, cultural, and economic shift becomes more visible, we will likely implement a sin tax on products that advocate on obesity. This would further facilitate the movement and hopefully an exodus to healthier and more active lifestyle.
Cambio is the innovative organization that revolutionizes local partnerships and the nutritional care of the local community. We utilize tools that are found in our everyday life for the betterment of Texas. We placed fixed goals on healthy nutrition and activity to ensure the community health is a priority and better partnerships are made not only for children, but the overall Texan community.
So why does this matter? Ask me about the number 6. Texas ranks 6 among states in rates of childhood obesity. Adolescent obesity has more than quadrupled in the past 40 years. So now what about 70? 70% of Texans are overweight or obese, according to the Children's Hospital Association of Texas. Moving on to medical costs. Obesity costs Texas businesses $3.3 billion per year. Texas businesses are paying an enormous price for obesity, diverting dollars that could instead be invested in programs such as ours.
So let's talk steps. First off, we will implement the school lunch program, tackling a main problem leading to childhood obesity. Next is the app, providing an all-in-one solution to bridge nutrition, education, and activity between parents and students alike. And lastly, our piece of legislation.
This legislative offer is to better help and back up the nutritional programs that we plan to implement as we will propose to Texas legislator. Whereas the U.S. Department of Agriculture faces imminent partiality for food product corporations or corporate entities, lobbying for legislative measures where food and nutrition services must be followed under all circumstances and the statements are met. This is just basically saying governmental guidelines must not be swayed by fruit product manufacturers, in part by corporation or corporate entities, and must promote accurate dietary guidelines outlined by an unbiased scientific research. This bill has been founded on previous bills that have already been enacted, such as the Healthy Hungry Kids Act of 2010, in which promoted a healthy lifestyle for not only nutrition but activity influence, saying that food preparation and purchasing guidance to produce meals and snacks are in the better interest of the general public. Not only that, but this bill also protects the partnerships that we had mentioned earlier. This is founded on the Farmers' Rights Act of 2001, ultimately making sure that the farmers' rights to farm and that they are protected legally under this act. And so this would just be an expansion that would go into effect after 91 days of passage.
And we are Cambio. Thank you.
What age group is the app geared towards? Because you've been talking about childhood obesity, but most children elementary age aren't carrying around a phone, so I'm a little bit confused there.
So the app is ideal for all age groups, but we're mostly geared towards targeting the teenage group from ages 13 to 17-year-olds.
As the nutritional program would be implemented not only firsthand in elementary schools, but in high schools as well. This app will be targeted through the children to the parents so that on the elementary school level, the parents would not only have control, not total control over what they're eating, but making sure they get a very decent nutritional value. Because as it stands, most parents don't know what's in their child's lunches. So through logging this, not only are they getting that interaction that's vital for the child's development, but they're also promoting that healthy lifestyle from a very young age.
So how would they be able to tell though what they actually ate? So for instance, a child frequently goes through the line, gets a plate of everything, only eats the chicken nuggets and the bread.
Yes, exactly.
But their parent would probably see that they had fruit, salad, you know what I mean?
Right, and that's where
So that was actually a good point. Well, I did not think that far into the development of that aspect of the app. That would be something that we could probably implement with the teachers, but although that would probably make or cause another issue with teachers having to consume their time with going through with every student in the classroom, that would be something that we would have to handle with our own situation.
And also that's where some of the legislative measures, if they were to be enacted and proposed, would come into place, and where the chicken nuggets and the bread that the child would eat would still be mandated to be at least a healthier option, rather than just the role that's the chicken nuggets and the role that are currently in the program. It would just be a bigger benefactor if that were the case.
Yes, hello. My question is, did you contact any of these counties and see if they were willing to? Because I personally come from Maverick County, and coming from my school, I don't think this would go through, knowing my school and the way it works.
Unfortunately, we haven't contacted any of the counties. This was still something that we have only planned out so far.
We didn't exactly have time to call up City Council of Maverick County. But we actually have seen programs like this work in other areas, especially in the state of California, in which in some of their poorest cities, we're able to make this a huge benefactor there in the poorest cities of other countries. So it's not so much a financial issue, but rather going through the like the school board issues. So it might be a decent proposal to think about had we had time. And you've done some research.
And also, we also looked into certain counties like Hidalgo County. They do have a program called the Expanded Food and Nutrition Educational Program, which is a partnership that helps promote nutrition standards within the schools and within the community before school, after school, and even during school. So that would be a program that we can possibly partner with to see how they implement it into their school system, to see if that would do it into another county school system.
Okay, I have a question regarding the amount of funds that are needed in order to create this app. Like you said, we were going to use like the tax incentive for $48 million in order to create this app. I think that's really an outrageous amount of money in order to actually create this app. And I want to know why exactly, wouldn't there be like any other source of funding instead of the government actually funding this?
The money that we're actually getting was not going towards the app originally. If Lewis wanted to talk about the money situation.
I actually go to the to these activities that would have like public park exercises with the sponsorships like YMCA.
Oh, and also the app's already actually created. Those were screenshots from the app, and it is a beta version.
Yeah, it's just a demo app as of now. We still have future plans for developing the app further.
Yeah, and the money he had said was more for if the bill gets passed and we do the syntax, that's what will come out of that's what we would get back if we were to do that. Yes.
That would be the state funding for the initial program for going towards the farmers and the agricultural production. That's a massive necessity in putting these into school programs.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are the Teen Ducks, and my name is Julian Mariscal.
Ivan Sierra.
Alondra Martinez.
And David Gonzalez.
Today we will be presenting on the topic of water waste conservation. In this presentation, we will be going over background information on our on our problem, data supporting the problem, implications of the problem, and a proposed solution. So, at hand, our challenge question was, what alternatives can be taken to prevent water waste in your homes and schools? And my peers and I, we decided to focus on water conservation options for your homes starting in your local communities.
So the supporting data behind our problem is, according to thevalueofwater.org, the average American uses about 5,280 gallons of water per month, and the following specific amounts in those areas are 900 gallons in showering purposes, 1,170 gallons for washing, and 780 gallons for sink usage. Now, for an average monthly bill, you pay about $33 for a surplus amount of 7,500 gallons.
Some of our current barriers that our project would face would be the ability to obtain a secure creation of tax credits to serve as incentives for people to use our product. Also, as far as our investments go, since we may not know the requirements certain investors might require from our program, potential barriers that we may face throughout the future would be a lack of resources to complete our program, and that would affect the research we would need to further improve our product. We would use crowdfunding as our initial source of financial support.
So choosing to ignore our water waste problem affects our environment, our economy, and our health. Constant drought and ecosystem depletion will end up affecting our environment. Agriculture fail can cause loss of jobs, which then lead to increase in the cost of living. And lack of sanitation leads to disease, which then affects the quality of our lives and our nutrition.
So one of the proposed solutions was a regional awareness campaign. So what we're going to be doing is collaborating with the city about tax incentives or tax credits and partnering with the water facilities in order to install our invention, which is going to come ahead. And the regional awareness campaign is going to be staffed by group members and volunteers in order to exclude third parties and stay true to our mission.
So our second proposal is our invention, which is a filtering system that will only be placed in sinks. So after the water is filtered, it is contained in a tank, which has a multi-purpose use. And our financial system will basically entail crowdfunding in short term, and in the long term, we would have angel investors and foundations.
So our solution is aimed at making drinkable water in the future, and this can help Team Swan, one of the other teams here, get rid of plastic water bottles.
So this is our product that we honestly do not have a name for yet. So usually sinks contain wastewater, and as it goes down the pipe, it hits a colander system, as you can see over there, that basically contains the water and removes the larger obstructions of waste. And then it is then taken to our system, which has the natural based filtering, and then it's transformed into repurposed water that could be used for homes, for gardening, and other utilities that you have in your house.
Some advantages to our campaign would be to form a local partnership with a local water company. This will provide us with promotion to our program and get people involved. For example, place our program and what it is in water bills so people get informed. The uses of social media will also allow us to, again, promote our product, provide people with information, with statistical support and data, along with how to use find purposes for the reusable water we are going to produce. We will also form local press conferences and create a system of our own base websites to provide more information to get the community involved.
While we do have many great advantages to our campaign, we have a few limitations, such as difficulty in understanding the statistics regarding consumption and water waste, and that in turn will misinform the population of our actual goal. Lack of credibility and understanding of our product can drive consumers away. Older populations might miss out on our message because they're not connected to social media, while younger populations who are connected to social media might miss out on our actual product because they don't have money or power.
There's many advantages to our recycling system, which include but aren't limited to saving money. Money, like my peers have said, we want to partner with the city to create a tax incentive for using our product. Another advantage is that it is easy accessible due to the fact that these filtration systems will be installed into our house. But on the flip side, one of the biggest disadvantages is that this may be appealing to many people. And it may be unappealing because people will use a connotation that we are reusing dirty water. Another disadvantage is a lack of credibility because we are not an established organization, so people will of course be skeptical. And lastly, the negative effect of seed money, such as if our seed money ceases before we become stable, and what if we don't even get the seed money to start off our project? So many people in the audience and even our panelists may be asking, why is our solution superior rather than the alternatives? And because it is very convenient. It is in the means of our homes. It is also faster than trying to pass a piece of legislation because there is no wait. You are the ultimate decider. We are expanding a market of natural resources and on a smaller scale. And lastly, our recycling process is less costly and more efficient than piping water through pipes back to major facilities. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time.
Questions? If you're planning to use the recycled water for lawns, why not go the route of like rainwater buckets or something like that?
Because you already using some water in your sink, so when you throw the water down your sink, you basically have we all waste water in our sink usage. As you can see, when you brush your teeth, sometimes you leave the sink on, or there's many when you wash your dishes. Well, I honestly leave my sink on. So what this does is it basically catches that water and it preserves it and makes it better where you can use it for other utilities.
Along with that, using the rainwater, we're not preventing water waste. I mean, it's more efficient, but it's not actually preventing water waste in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that it's a great idea, but you did state that you had some uncertain statistics and some uncertain data. So how can you predict a positive outcome of this program without having correct data and apt statistics?
Well, obviously that would be testing. You would basically have to test out the system before you do it. So you could test it out in a local restaurant and then get statistical data from that and then implement it and see how you could make renovations to your product.
So you test it at a public restaurant?
Well, you could test it out anywhere.
To add on to my partner, the statistical data on our water consumption is not actually wrong. It's just that we can't actually predict the efficiency of our product yet. So we're aiming for a goal, and it's not really that our implementation of our product is not going to be effective. It's just that we can't really decide what our invention is going to affect it in a way, but we know it's going to affect.
I had heard that part of your solution was to collect rainwater. Is that correct?
No.
No.
Okay, then I apologize.
It's okay.
Eliana?
How is your product different from the wastewater management systems that already exist? There's some that involve toilets. I mean, all of this aren't, how is it different?
It's different because this is actually in our homes, it's installed.
That already exists, it's in your homes.
So are you talking about
Technology-wise, how is it different?
Yeah.
This is different because it is based all on natural resources that will be used to filter the water. There will be no harsh chemicals used, for example, the chlorination process, which will enable people to also become more aware of their environment and the usage they need, so we could prevent big issues like climate change. Also, it could teach little kids to also they can change their own filtering system and know that even if it is a tiny
save in water usage, it will still contribute to the future. And by this, we can also further research to make our water actually drinkable. So it would be drinking dishwater, which like would save a lot of money and like reduce water bottles, which would reduce plastic usage.
So this is a suggestion, like maybe testing it out at home and like maybe having an estimate of how much that family saved. Right. So maybe that can like be your statistical analysis.
Yeah, so like this is a prototype, so we can't really put an efficiency to it yet. We need to put it in experimentation. So like this is a test run. I guess we need to still test run it.
Jeremiah, last question.
So you said you're going to use like,
Can you
water
speak up?
sinks, so that like you said dishwater. So how? There are some biological processes that do erase all of the contaminants in water. So how would you address the situation?
Well, there's some membranes that we have. Can you go back to the slide of our system? Okay, so you see like where the water is being filtered out and put into the tank, that little system is a membrane that is a filtering system which can ultimately clean out the microbes, because the microbes, the smallest virus is 15 nanometers, which is like you basically can't see it, but when you have yeah, it's really small, really small. But like there's membranes that you could buy that are like 10 nanometers, and then if you put them all three together in separate locations, you could basically have like a 5 nanometer filter.
And then to add on to that, also the natural elements that we have in there kill majority of biological components, and well, we're not actually drinking the water, we're using it for irrigation purposes, and that's our future goal, to kill all biological contaminants.
So that concludes our presentations, and I want to give a round of applause to all of you because you've done a wonderful job. And thank you to our panel for being here and joining us and hearing and evaluating our presentations. Thank you for giving your time and talent to be with us. Thank you.